There are three major trends that the social sector should probably take into account. The first is the emergence of giant data sets. This is being enabled by technology trends where cell phones and sensor networks are proliferating worldwide. The reason why this is important for the social sector is it's going to provide enormous insights into the actual conditions of the needy. It's no longer will the social sector, in order to determine the nature of the needs that they might want to intervene in, have to rely on survey data or data accumulated by states. So the distribution and democratization of data collection and the creation of enormous open source data sets that the social sector can work is going to be one important trend. A second trend is going to be the ever closer relationship between development, human rights, and humanitarian assistance on the one hand, and military intervention on the other. This is, again, a long-standing trend, but it's one that's been going on with increasing intensity over the last 15 years. The reason why this is important is, on the one hand, it means that social sector actors are going to increasingly need to do their interventions in particularly needy parts of the world under a military umbrella. And on the other hand, militaries will increasingly frame their interventions in terms of the kinds of missions that social sectors have traditionally taken on. So that confluence may create a lot of room for thought and perhaps some uncomfortable moments for the social sector. And the third major trend I think the social sector should probably take into account is what I refer to as peak everything. People talk about peak oil, but we're really in a situation where as we crest 7 billion people and cruise towards 8, 9, maybe even 10 billion people towards the middle or end of the 21st century, resource constraints are going to become an ever more prevalent problem. And in some sense, I think that the social sector should think of this as the number one overall problem that humanity faces in the coming century. It's simply not going to be possible for 7, 8, 9 billion people to have a Western middle-class lifestyle. And so in some sense, perhaps, the number one thing that the social sector can try to think about is how do we convince humanity as a whole, and particularly the global middle class, to not insist on living in a way that is fundamentally unsustainable. So peak everything is going to be one way to frame the challenge that the social sector will have in terms of making a social intervention on the global middle class.